The story of David and his journey to mastering English. Since he was a child, David had a special passion for words. He grew up in a home where books were an integral part of his life, and he spent hours reading stories aloud. However, as he grew older, he began to notice that English was a very different language from the Spanish he spoke at home. This difference intrigued him and filled him with curiosity, especially when he watched TV shows in English and wondered how he could understand everything they said. At the age of 10, David decided that he wanted to learn English. He asked his parents to enroll him in a language school, but the response was a bit discouraging. "It's too expensive," they told him. But that didn't stop David. He began to look for alternatives. He offered to babysit the neighbors' children in exchange for English lessons. That summer, he started learning with an older teacher who had lived in the United States and shared his love for the language. At first, the lessons were simple. They learned children's songs, played with vocabulary cards, and told simple stories in English. David realized that each new word he learned was like a little spark that ignited his imagination. However, there were also challenges. Remembering pronunciation and grammar sometimes frustrated him, but his teacher always said, "Mistakes are part of learning. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve." This phrase stuck in his mind. Over time, David became more competent. His parents, impressed by his dedication, began to save so he could attend more advanced classes. During those years, David learned a lot, not only about the language but also about different cultures. He realized that English was not just a means of communication but a bridge connecting people from around the world. By the time he reached high school, David had the opportunity to participate in a student exchange program. He went to live with a family in London for 6 months. This was a turning point in his life. Although he felt overwhelmed at first, he quickly adapted to the new environment. Daily interactions with his host family and classmates helped him develop his fluency. He learned to speak in real situations, which was very different from the theoretical lessons he had received until then. During his stay in London, David also began to keep a journal. In this journal, he reflected on his experiences and feelings. Writing in English became a powerful tool for him. It allowed him to process his thoughts and emotions while improving his language skills. The journal became his confidant, where he recorded his dreams, fears, and achievements. One day, while exploring the city, David discovered a small cafe that held open mic nights. With a bit of nervousness, he decided to sign up. At that moment, he realized he had reached a point in his life where he no longer feared speaking in public. That night, he went on stage and shared a story he had written. The thrill of sharing his voice and story was liberating. The audience welcomed him with applause, which boosted his confidence immensely. As his exchange progressed, David met other students from different parts of the world. Together, they formed a study group where they could practice English and share their cultures. They realized that learning a language was not just about words but also about human connections. Study nights became sessions filled with laughter and camaraderie. This group became like a family to David, and together they made plans to explore the city and uncover its secrets. One of the most memorable experiences was their trip to a major university in London. They had the opportunity to attend a lecture on the importance of learning languages in a globalized world. The speaker, a renowned professor, shared her own story of how learning English had opened doors in her professional life. Inspired by her words, David promised himself that he would not only master English but would also explore other languages in the future. By the end of his stay, David returned home with a level of English he had never imagined. He was able to converse confidently and had developed a love for literature in English. He began reading works by authors like J.K. Rowling and Gabriel Garcia Marquez in their original versions. Each book was a new world to explore, and each page he turned brought him closer to his dream of becoming a global communicator. When he returned to his country, David realized that he wanted to share his knowledge and help others achieve their language goals. He began teaching English to children and adults in his community. He used games and interactive activities to keep his students motivated. Every time a student overcame a difficulty, David felt like a small hero. Seeing his students' progress was his greatest reward. However, David didn't stop there. Over time, he became interested in online teaching. He decided to create a YouTube channel where he could share his knowledge with a broader audience. At first, he felt a little nervous speaking in front of the camera, but with practice, he became more comfortable. He began recording lessons, sharing study tips, and telling stories about his own learning journey. One day, he decided to create a series of videos focused on practicing English through stories. In each episode, he narrated a personal experience or a funny anecdote, and then broke down the vocabulary and grammatical structures used. This not only helped his students learn in an entertaining way but also gave them the chance to hear the language in a real context. His series became popular, and David started receiving positive feedback from people around the world who appreciated his innovative approach. As time went on, David became a reference in his community and online. His YouTube channel grew rapidly, and he began receiving offers to collaborate with other educational platforms. One day, he received a message from a company that wanted to partner with him to create an online course. The proposal excited him and gave him the opportunity to reach an even broader audience. David worked hard to develop the course, ensuring that each lesson was accessible and engaging. The course launch was a success. David received enrollments from students all over the world, and the lessons began to flow. The structure of the course was based on his personal experience, incorporating methods that had worked for him. He also created an online group where students could interact, share their progress, and support each other. It was a space where everyone could feel comfortable and encouraged to keep learning. As his career continued to flourish, David didn't forget the importance of continuous learning. He enrolled in pedagogy courses and immersed himself in new teaching methodologies. He knew that to be a good educator, he needed to keep growing and adapting to the needs of his students. This quest for knowledge became an integral part of his life, and his love for learning only intensified. Today, David is a respected teacher and a successful entrepreneur. He has helped countless people achieve their language goals and overcome their fears. His story has become a testament to the fact that with determination and passion, anything is possible. Through his work, he continues to inspire others to pursue their dreams, reminding them that it is never too late to learn and that knowledge can open doors in life. As he continues his journey, David understands that learning is an endless process. There is always something new to discover, and every interaction with his students is an opportunity to grow. He firmly believes that shared knowledge is the key to building a more connected and understanding world. And so, David's story continues, filled with adventures, discoveries, and the promise of a bright future for all those who dare to dream. The journey of one towards English fluency. Since he was a curious child, one dreamed of being able to speak English fluently. He grew up watching Hollywood movies, where the characters communicated so naturally that it seemed as if the words flowed effortlessly from their lips. While enjoying cartoons and songs in English, he began to feel a mix of admiration and frustration. The idea of learning a new language seemed like a monumental challenge, something that others did with ease, but for him it seemed unattainable. However, his passion for the language never waned, and he was always looking for opportunities to listen and learn. During his teenage years, one decided to enroll in English classes at his school. He remembers that his first days in class were filled with nervousness. Upon entering the classroom, he found himself surrounded by classmates who seemed more advanced than him. The first classes were overwhelming, full of new words and grammatical structures that were difficult for him to grasp. Nevertheless, despite the difficulties, one remained determined. He spent hours after class reviewing notes, doing exercises, and practicing pronunciation in front of the mirror. He often laughed at himself while trying to mimic his favorite actors, but this practice helped him feel more comfortable with the language. By the time he finished high school, one graduated with good grades, but he still felt that his command of English was not enough. However, fate had an unexpected twist in store for him. After finishing university, one landed a job at an international company that gave him the opportunity to interact with people from different nationalities. Although he was excited about this new beginning, he soon realized that his lack of English skills would be a significant obstacle. During meetings, he felt like a fish out of water, trapped in a sea of words that he couldn't fully understand. This frustration grew because he knew he had the potential to contribute, but the language barriers were holding him back. One day, after a particularly tough meeting where communication failed and his ideas were left unspoken, one decided that it was time to change his situation. With determination, he sat down in front of his computer and began searching for resources to improve his English. After exploring several options, he found an online course that promised not only to help improve his language skills but also to apply them in real-life situations. The course description resonated with him, and although he felt a slight fear, he decided it was time to invest in himself and take a leap into the unknown. The first days in the course were exciting but challenging. One immersed himself in the content, which included vocabulary lessons, grammar, and listening exercises. Each week introduced new topics, and although he sometimes felt overwhelmed, his passion for learning kept him motivated. The conversation section was the most transformative, where he was able to interact with other students from different parts of the world. Initially, his nerves caused him to stumble when speaking, but little by little, the constant practice helped him gain confidence. He learned not to be afraid of making mistakes, as they were part of the learning process. As he progressed in the course, one began to notice significant changes in his daily life. Not only had his vocabulary and pronunciation improved, but he had also learned to think in English. He no longer needed to mentally translate what he wanted to express, he could communicate fluently. This change positively impacted his work life. He felt more confident participating in meetings, and his voice was being heard. The ideas he used to keep to himself began to come to light, and his colleagues started noticing him. At first, they were amazed that a young man who had struggled so much in the past could have made such a radical change. One day, during an important meeting, his boss noticed his progress and offered him the opportunity to participate in an international presentation. The idea of speaking English in front of such a diverse audience both thrilled and terrified him. He knew it was a great opportunity to showcase everything he had learned, but he also felt that the pressure was overwhelming. However, this time, he decided to accept the challenge with determination. He prepared for weeks, dedicating hours to rehearsing his presentation, searching for ways to connect with the audience, and ensuring his message would resonate. The day of the presentation arrived, and one was filled with nerves, but at the same time, he felt more prepared than ever. Upon entering the room, he saw an audience made up of people from different countries and cultures. At that moment, he remembered all the effort he had invested and how he had overcome so many obstacles. When he finally began to speak, the energy in the room changed. His voice was clear, and the connection with the audience was immediate. The words flowed from his mouth like never before, and soon he realized he was captivating everyone. When he finished, he received a standing ovation, and the satisfaction he felt was indescribable. He knew that moment would mark a before and after in his life. Inspired by his success, one decided that he wanted to help others achieve the same. He began teaching English to people who, like him, wanted to improve their language skills. He used his personal story as a tool to motivate his students, sharing not only his struggles but also his triumphs. Every time a student was able to communicate confidently, one felt that it was also a small personal victory, and his heart filled with joy. His classes were interactive and dynamic, and he always incorporated games and practical exercises to keep everyone engaged. As his reputation as an instructor grew, one began forming a support community. His students not only learned the language but also helped each other. Together, they organized conversation groups and activities, creating an environment where learning English became fun and exciting. Once classes became a safe space where everyone could express their fears and doubts, and he always reminded them that making mistakes was part of the process. Over time, one started receiving requests to offer workshops in different communities. In these workshops, he combined English teaching with cultural activities, allowing participants to not only learn the language but also better understand the customs and traditions of English-speaking countries. This made his classes even more attractive, and soon he became a reference in his community. Today, one is a confident English speaker and a successful professional. He has managed to establish his own language school and continues helping others achieve their linguistic goals. His passion for the language has become his life's mission. In addition to teaching, he has ventured into creating online content. He often records videos where he shares language learning tips and his own story, inspiring others to overcome their fears and doubts. As his career progresses, one continues exploring new ways to share his knowledge, whether through YouTube videos, in-person workshops, or educational conference events. His story has impacted many, and he always emphasizes that with dedication and the right approach, anyone can achieve their dreams, no matter how big they are. Recently, he started developing an online course to reach more students, allowing those who cannot attend in-person classes to benefit from his methodology. Creating his online course was a challenging but rewarding process. One spent weeks designing the content, ensuring it was accessible and engaging for all learning levels. He incorporated videos, interactive exercises, and downloadable materials. His focus was on making English learning fun and less intimidating. When he finally launched the course, the response was overwhelming. He received messages from students around the world, sharing how his teachings were transforming their lives. This gave him the motivation he needed to keep going. As his course gained popularity, one began collaborating with other educators and experts in the language learning field. Together, they organized seminars and online events where they could share strategies and innovative methods. These collaborations not only enriched his own knowledge but also expanded his professional network and allowed him to reach more people. Despite his success, one never forgets where he came from. He often takes time to reflect on his journey, remembering the struggles he faced and the lessons he learned. His story is a testament that dreams can come true with effort and passion. Now, with his language school thriving, he feels fulfilled seeing his students flourish and achieve their own goals. For one, the journey toward English fluency not only transformed his life but also enabled him to transform the lives of many others. One frequently organizes monthly meetups with his former students to see how they have progressed and what achievements they have reached. These meetings are a space for celebration and motivation, where everyone shares their success stories and the challenges they have overcome. At one of these meetings, one of his students, Maria, thanked him for inspiring her to take control of her life and learn English. She had secured a job at a multinational company, and one couldn't help but feel proud of her success. One's future is bright and full of possibilities. He knows that learning a language is a continuous journey, and he himself continues studying and improving his skills. As he ventures into the digital world, he is excited about the opportunities ahead. Every day is a new adventure, and one is eager to see where his passion for language learning will take him. In his spare time, one also enjoys reading books in English, which not only helps him expand his vocabulary but also allows him to immerse himself in different cultures and perspectives. Recently, he began writing a book about his experience learning English, sharing tips and anecdotes that he hopes will inspire others on their own journey. His desire to help others has never faded, and he is determined to leave a positive legacy in the world. One story is proof that, with perseverance, dedication, and passion, anyone can overcome their obstacles and achieve their dreams. His journey not only transformed him but is also transforming others as he continues to share his knowledge and experience. Every time one sees a student reach a milestone in their learning, he knows his mission is on the right track, and that motivates him to keep moving forward, building a bright future for himself and for those he has the privilege to teach.